Hi, welcome to a Wackaflcka quick tip video. I hope you're having a good morning, evening, night, whichever one fits, shit like that. And thank you so much for clicking on the video. I hope you're doing amazing today. And yeah, this is a quick tip video about wards. Okay, but I'm going to talk about one particular ward, but I will also cover that once in general and give a general idea of how these work, what they do, and shit like that to give you guys ideas, right? So you can understand this type of ward more and what it does. Okay, so if my stick editor here, I could put some text up here when I say this. The one type of ward is the ward that gives information, right? And in the early stages of the game, the only information you're going to get is obviously the ones in the jungle here, right? If you're the red team, or if you're blue team, it's going to be here. And then you have the lane wards, which prevent you from getting ganked immediately, right? Like say if you're playing red side here, putting a ward here will obviously give you information about if the jungle is going to come bot lane. Like that's the immediate one. Whereas if you had the ward here as an example somewhere, you would know he's in the vicinity, but you wouldn't necessarily know if he's going to gank you or if he's going to just clear camps. But the benefit, obviously, if you spot him here, is that top side would know the jungler is bot side, right? Or opposite, if the jungler's here somewhere and you have a ward somewhere, the bot side knows that they're not going to get ganked. So I would categorize those kind of wards that aren't necessarily focused around the lane as just information wards. So there's two things here. The lane ones, like lane gank wards, and then you have the wards to give information, okay? There's obviously other ones, like you can put in the bushes here. I'm not going to categorize those. As the game progresses, obviously the value and importance of where to put wards is going to change. So as an example, if we're losing here on the red side, at the start, when the game towers are as they are, the contested spot is obviously going to be here, because that's where things matter, right? Like the deeper ones aren't going to be as high value, and they're not going to be as risky, right? It's like the closer to your own base and away from your turrets, the lower value and the lower risk it has to be cleared, right? But when your tower is here get cleared, the outer ones, and the game progresses, even the wards deeper inside your own jungle are going to start getting contested. So that will then change the priority of those and the risk to those wards to a higher risk, right? And at the early start of the game, anything in your own jungle here, mark on the map here, anything on this side, I would consider low risk, right? And then all the high risk wards, meaning the ones that are going to get cleared or will most likely get cleared, are the ones that are like in the hot zone here for their team, where they will frequent, right? So as an example, a ward here in this bush at the very start of the game is going to have a very high risk of getting cleared, especially if it's a pink ward, right? But with that risk comes also a high reward, right? And the reward here is how much vision or how much information or how often you will get information about someone, where they are on the map, okay? And that will change, as I said, as the game progresses, but that's how I categorize it. And as an example, if you're red side here, a ward here in your own jungle is going to have a medium or low risk, but with that, it's also going to have a low reward. But that doesn't mean that if you spot them here, that's going to have a low reward, because that's obviously insane value to see someone in your own jungle, right? But the low value means that it's going to not feed you as much or have the likeliness of feeding you any information. So like say if you're winning a game and you have a pink ward here, what's the chance that they're ever going to go there? It's very low, right? So that would be low reward, low risk. Yeah, we can agree on that. So when it comes to pinks, what I want to cover here, and the broken one, is one I placed in this game here. Okay, I'm not going to cover all types of wards here. I want to keep it short. It's already getting long, but I'm covering slightly here to give you an idea of how these work. As I said, low risk. When the game progresses, this will obviously change to a higher risk zone, because the hot zone, you know, as the game progresses, right, the hot zone will move like this, meaning where the enemy will path, where people will go, what's contested or not, right? So if you had like a heat map here, like if the footstep of the champions like emitted heat on the map, you would be able to see that the heat in the early game would frequent here, right, from the enemy. But then as the game progresses, if they're winning, the heat map is obviously gonna disappear from here and it's gonna move here, right? So depending on where it's hot, that's where it's gonna be high risk. Okay, and yeah, just get a quick look here at the game. We'll just talk about some of these wards here in the game. So here we have one that's a medium risk, medium reward, depending on the state of the game. Here we have a ward that is kind of high risk. It's very frequent to get passed by, right? But it's also going to give you information. But I would consider this like a lane ward. And this one here is a high risk ward, but it's also a very high reward, right? Like if he spots him here. So like this is something you obviously wouldn't want to happen if you were this jungler. But this is an information ward. This one doesn't necessarily alert you that getting ganked immediately. But knowing that Diego's here it's going to enable Lee Sin to, as an example, take Drake if that was up. So that would feed the enemy team a lot of information, which is why I call this an information ward in this category here. Because it helps to like kind of categorize them a bit. Okay? But you can see here, Lee Sin put the ward in this bush here. Okay? And if that was a pink ward, do you think Viego would spot that very fast? Like he would pass this bush here very fast, right? Like it wouldn't take a long time for this to get noticed by Viego. Because he would eventually pass by here. Okay? But there's a ward in this place here that gives the exact amount of same information almost, but it's way less likely to get spotted. And because of that, it kind of lowers the risk of the ward, but the information you get is still insane, because it's going to frequent by, okay? And for context, I'm the striker here. It's a Diamond 1 game, and we're going to see me now place a ward, and we will target the fog of war to our side, okay? And you'll see this ward here now that I place. And I would say, if you have the chance or opportunity to place this ward, do it. Especially if you're a support. But there's obviously a risk to walking into the jungle here, so you have to be careful, okay? Take care when you're doing this. Don't get spotted. But if you do manage to successfully put this ward down, you're going to get so much information throughout the game, as long as it doesn't get spotted. And we'll see that here. But what does this tell you? If I tell you, put this ward here because it's really broken, what should that do for you? That should tell you, or you should teach two things here, or learn. You should learn, okay, this bush is really broken to put a ward in, but you should also learn, I need to check this bush. Because say if Lee Sin watched my video here, before this game, he would have known about this, and he would have checked it, and I wouldn't get the information that I got, right? And let's look here now. We're just going to pass through. We see the Yuumi, then we get the information on the Lee Sin and the pink. And throughout the game, I'm constantly pinging, he's here, right? And we'll see how long this ward lasts. I don't buy a new one, because this ward here gives so much information throughout the game that I don't consider worth, right? There, he even passed through it. But because wards load very slow sometimes, he doesn't see it. Okay? And it's already lasted over 4 minutes. It's spotted Lee Sin 3 or 4 times maybe. It's going to spot him another time now soon, right? So now, seeing that motion of Lee Sin walking up here, we know he's pathing topside. What does that tell us? Riven has to be careful. Maybe she could put a ward deeper here. It's like this ward feeds so much information. But at the same time, it's very unlikely to get spotted. So that's what I'm mainly teaching you guys here today. Try and do this sometimes. Buy pink, obviously, because it's going to last for a long time, right? If it doesn't get spotted. And it's very unlikely to get spotted. And we see now it's lasted way over 6 minutes. And it will continue to last for a very long time. And that's basically what I'm showing you guys here today. But I'm also going to show you guys some other places that you can put these wards and gain similar information, right? There's this bush here. There's very few times a jungler will check this bush here. They'll either pass by like this or they'll pass by like this, right? And knowing that, you can know that you can put a ward here, and every time the jungler passes by, you will see which direction he's going, right? If he's either going this way or this way, depending on which way he's going, you'll know if he's top side or bot side, right? And obviously, in reverse here, the same would apply to this bush here, right? Here, bucket, here, right? So, just do this here. Try it in your own game. Buy a pink, and then put it either here, pending, right? Obviously, for me, I would put it here. So if you're playing top lane as an example, or mid, and you put it in this bush here, but you have to put it somewhere around here, because that's when you'll get vision for this pathing here. This is really broken, and I do recommend that you guys try this, but also keep care and look out throughout your own game if the enemy's doing this, because you can deny them this broken vision, okay? And I'll make another video sometime covering other types of wards, speaking about those, but for now, that's the end of this one. Hope you guys continue to have a good morning, evening, night, whichever one fits, shit like that. And yeah, take care. Bye. Peace.